Hi everyone, my name is Karen, this is my channel RatherBeReading, and today I'm bringing to you my April book haul. So April was a somewhat successful, well it wasn't, I failed on the book buying restriction, we'll get into that. As always, let's start off with the library books that I picked up in the month of April. What month are we talking about? April. So I have 6 books here to talk to you about, which isn't too bad. Maybe a couple more than I would like, but it's not too bad. So first off, we have Thrill City. Oh, actually, I picked up 7. I'll touch on that in a second. Thrill City by Lee Redhead. This is the 4th and final book in the Simone Kirsch series, which is a series that follows a character who is a stripper turned private detective. It's set in Australia. I have mentioned this on my channel. I recognize that this series isn't good, but I really enjoy it despite it not being that great. So I have the final book. This one is significantly bigger than the previous one's, over 400 pages, whereas I believe the first 3 were all around the 250 page mark. So this is significantly longer, which is interesting. But there was an event that took place at the end of the 3rd book, like in her life, that made me go, oh, not sure how this is going to go. So interested to see how the series finishes up. I then picked up Gathering Blue by Lois Lowry. I read The Giver last month and had mixed feelings about it, and I wanted to continue on even though this is only a companion novel and is not set like in the same community that The Giver is set in. So I don't know, we'll see. I haven't really heard anything about the other books in this series. I've only really heard people talk about The Giver, so I picked it up. Next, I picked up Marianne's Bad Luck Mystery by Anne M. Martin, book 17. This copy is so beat up. This is just the next book in the Babysitters Club series that I needed to pick up because it is a series that I'm rereading. Next, I picked up 1,000 Pieces of You by Claudia Gray. This is one of the books that I need to read to complete one of my 2019 reading goals. And this was quite popular on Bookshoot for a while. I think these covers of this series are stunning. I can't remember exactly what this series is about. I think it's got something to do with someone who can jump between dimensions or realities or something like that. I don't know. The first book at least got fairly good reviews, but I can't think of too many people who I can think of that read the whole trilogy. But I'll be interested to read this and see like how I feel about it and whether I want to continue on with the whole trilogy, because those covers really pretty. Next, I picked up Precious by Sapphire. I believe Precious, this is like the movie cover, so it's called Precious because that's what the movie was called. I believe the actual novel was called Push. I have seen the movie Precious years ago. This is a story about a girl named Precious who comes from a very non-conventional upbringing, I guess. She has been pregnant by her own father, and her mother is quite abusive, and there's just a lot of stuff going on. I remember thinking the movie was really interesting and that I'd wanted to pick up the book. That was years ago, and I finally picked it up. So it's not very long, and seems to be written in kind of an interesting format. So I'll be interested to see how I go with this and whether I end up enjoying it. Next from the library, so I had not recently, but over the course of my channel, I have been attempting to get into some manga. I started off with Death Note, which I really enjoyed. I tried to read Fruits Basket, but I only read the first couple of volumes, and sorry, I've got cat hair in my mouth. I tried to read Fruits Basket, but I found that it was that series is so long, and that the time that it took me even between the first like collector's edition and the second, I couldn't keep track of who the characters were and like what was going on, that I just didn't feel like I could commit to that series that's so long when I just wasn't remembering enough detail. And so that was a while ago that I also read The Doubt, which is just a 2-volume thing. So I went to the manga section and I was browsing, and I thought I'm just gonna have a look and see if there's anything that kind of jumps out at me, and then look it up and see how long it is, and if it's a shorter series then I'll maybe give it a go. So I ended up I've never heard anyone talk about this. I picked up Midnight Secretary, story and art by Tomu Omi. So this is, I think, a romance manga, which I've never read any romance manga before. It's Kaya prides herself on being an excellent secretary and a consummate professional, so she doesn't even bat an eye when she's reassigned to the office of her company's difficult director. He's as prickly and hot as rumors paint him, but Kaya is unfazed until she discovers, oh, that he's a vampire. Oh, I didn't even realize that it was about him being a vampire. So I presume this is like a vampire love story between a secretary and a boss. I'm kind of intrigued about it, and I think there's only like 6 volumes, and these aren't like big collector's volumes either. It's just like quite short. So I thought I'll give this first one a go and see whether I enjoy it. So I picked that up. The last book that I actually picked up from the library I actually don't have with me, which is The Woods by James Tynion IV and Michael Dialanis. I read this month, so I actually picked it up. Again, I was just browsing the graphic novel section at my library and picked this up because it's something I'd heard people talk about on BookTube and thought I'd give the first volume a go. But I ended up reading it because I thought that it would complete one of the challenges for Owl's Readathon. If you saw my vlog, you know how that went down. It didn't complete the challenge, but I did read that already last month. So this is a sci-fi graphic novel about a school. It's basically like there's like 500 students and 60 staff or something like that who all get randomly one day just transported from Milwaukee to another planet light years away, and so it's about them trying to figure out what the heck is going on, and the reader, I guess, trying to figure out what the heck is going on. I enjoyed it enough. I will continue on, but I did pick that up this month as well. So that's the last library book that I picked up. Before we get into the physical books, we'll just touch on the ebooks that I purchased or received in April. So I only purchased one ebook. So I had made a deal with myself. So I'll tell you what it is. So I purchased, if you saw my TBR for the month, you already know that I purchased this, which is Blind Tiger by Rachel Vincent. So this is the second book in the Wildcats trilogy, which is a spin-off trilogy to the Shifters series. So the first book I'd managed to read from my library, but my library didn't have the second or the third books, and there was basically no way I was going to be able to get my hands on a copy without it being quite expensive. And even the Kindle book was quite expensive. It was about $8. And I didn't want to pay that much for a Kindle book. I would very rarely pay that much, but I had no other way of getting my hands on it. I could have bought a physical copy, would have cost me even way more than $8. So I made a deal with myself that if there was a month where I went through an entire month period without purchasing an ebook, not purposely, not denying myself, but if there just happened to be a month that I would allow myself to spend the money and purchase it. And I happened to be looking through my ebook purchases and realized that a whole month had gone by and I hadn't purchased an ebook. Well, sorry, not purchased, but hadn't spent any money. I would allow it if I'd bought like a free ebook, but I don't think I'd bought any in that month. So I allowed myself to buy it. So I finally got my hands on it. It really pained me to spend that much on it, but it is what it is. So that's the only ebook that I purchased in April. I've kind of put the same rule in place for book 3, that if another month goes past where I don't purchase anything, then I'll purchase the third book. The third book's a little bit cheaper, but I think it's still like $6, which in my opinion is too much for an ebook, but it is what it is. So in addition to that though, I was also approved for 2 books on NetGalley this past month. So I shouldn't have requested anything, but I did only request, I think, 3 books. So I wasn't totally out of the way crazy with it. So the first one that I was approved for was Prom Wrecked by T.H. Hernandez and Jennifer D. Giovanni. This is very different from the books that I typically request on NetGalley, because typically, if you know my channel, you know that I mainly request thrillers. This is a YA contemporary. All I really know about it is that the prom is cancelled. The principal cancels the prom. Sorry, prom. We don't have it in Australia, so I think it's pronounced prom. So Prom Wrecked. The principal cancels the prom, and it's about the students trying to like put a prom on in spite of the principal, and I think it involves a romance between the main character and her best friend's ex-boyfriend, which is always a dynamic in books that for some reason I find intriguing. So yeah, it's a little bit different to the ones that I normally request, but I just thought it looked like a lot of fun, so I was approved for that. And then the final NetGalley book that I was approved for is called I Know You're There by Sarah Simpson. This one is a thriller. I'm actually just going to read you the synopsis because it's pretty short and I just thought it would give you a better idea of what it's about. So it says, is your house as safe as you think? Natalie spent most of her childhood feeling afraid. So when she moved into her cozy little flat in St. Ives and met her 3 friendly neighbours, she knew at once it was somewhere she'd feel safe. Before long, Natalie's neighbours have become the family she never had. Kind, motherly Morwena, serious, reliable Nigel, and sweet, anxious Daniel. They collect each other's mail, water each other's plants, and share each other's lives. But as Natalie knows all too well, the people who are closest to you can also be the most dangerous, and this house is not as safe as she thinks. So I just found that very intriguing. I'm intrigued that it seems that she's got a dark past, where maybe she's had a childhood, an abusive childhood, and I'm sure we're going to delve into that and get some details of that, but then also that maybe one of these neighbours or all of these neighbours are a bit sinister and creepy. I don't know, but I'm always into creepy neighbours. Not in real life. I would prefer my neighbours to not be creepy, but in books, I find creepy neighbours very fun to read. So yeah, I was also approved for that book this month. Finally, moving on to the physical books that I purchased in April. So first off, we have my monthly book depository. Well, not always book depository, but this month it was book depository order that I placed. So first off, I got Giant Days Volume 3. This one I have read. I really love this series. I'm sure you know if you watch my channel. And I've just been slowly collecting physical copies because I have read them from the library because I love this series so much that I really want to own it. And so I purchased the 3rd one. It's got a nice fun yellow spine. Purchased that. I then purchased If You Dare by A.R. Torr. This is the 3rd book in the trilogy. The first book being The Girl in 6E. And The Girl in 6E is about a woman who is it's like an erotic thriller from what I understand. She is a webcam girl and she locks herself in her apartment because she has murderous tendencies. And she locks herself in so that she can't murder anyone. However, then something happens and she's going to have to leave her apartment because she thinks that someone's in danger, but she maybe is going to murder people. I don't know. It's apparently very sexy, so always intrigued. I have the first 2 books, so I finally purchased the 3rd one, so now I have the whole trilogy. So when I get around to that first book, I can read the whole thing, which is always good. I then purchased The Crown of Embers by Ray Carson. This is the final book in the monthly order. This one is the second. Is this the second book? Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the 2nd book in the Girl of Fire and Thorns trilogy. Yeah, the sequel. It says right there on the cover, the sequel. This is book 2. The Girl of Fire and Thorns, I'm not actually clear on what the synopsis is. It's YA fantasy. It gets pretty good reviews and I've been interested in it for a really long time. I recently purchased the 1st book and so I purchased the 2nd book so that eventually I'll have the whole thing. That was my reasoning on that. Next, on my big shopping day that I had, when I was off work, I purchased one book, which is Boy Swallows Universe by Trent Dalton. So I allowed myself to purchase this because I have already read this book. So this wasn't adding to my TBR. And I really wanted to own this because I loved this book. I gave it 5 stars, but also because I think this is a book my dad is really going to like and I wanted to buy it. One, I wanted to own it, but I was like, if I buy it soon, I'll be able to lend it to him. And I'm actually filming this video today, which is a little bit earlier than I normally would film it, because my dad is going away for work this week and he's going to an area, quite a rural area with not great internet. And he was like, I'm gonna have to go old school and take a book. And I was like, I have just the book for you, Dad. So this is a literary fiction by an Australian author set in Australia in the early 80s. It follows a 12-year-old boy who has a lost father, a mute brother, a junkie mum, a heroin dealer for a stepfather, and a notorious crim for a babysitter. That's a very quick, condensed version. There's so many interesting themes in this. I really loved this book. Highly recommend to everyone. Now I have my hands on a copy. I'm going to take this around to my dad's place tonight so that he can take it away with him tomorrow. I hope he loves it. I'll be kind of pissed if he doesn't. But I'm excited to have my hands on that. Then we come to the part where I went a little bit off script with my buying. So I was at the library. I've mentioned before, my library has those shelves outside, like the where you check out, that are just books that you can purchase for $1 each, like ex-library copies. They're not normally in great condition. They've got like stickers and stuff on them, you'll see. For a really long time, those shelves had nothing but shit on them, like nothing even remotely interesting. And then for a while, they had quite a lot of interesting stuff on them. And I had to really force myself to stop looking at them. But the last few times I've caved and I've been looking, but there hasn't been that great of stuff. But this time when I looked, I found a couple of things that I was interested in. So the first one that I purchased, I got 3. So it was $3, but it's just adding to my TBR, isn't it? But what can you do? what can you do? So first off, we got this is the first one I noticed, The Doll Funeral by Kate Hamer. So this vaguely rang a bell. Yeah, I'm trying to remember which bit of the synopsis I read that sounded really creepy. Yeah, so this is the synopsis that I read. I was because there's a bit on the back and I was like, I don't remember that at all. This is the bit that I read that intrigued me. My name is Ruby. I live with Barbara and Mick. They're not my real parents, but they tell me what to do and what to say. I'm supposed to say that the bruises on my arms and the black eye came from falling down the stairs. But there are things I won't say. I won't tell them I'm going to hunt for my real parents. I don't say a word about Shadow, who sits on the stairs, or the wasp lady I saw on the way to bed. I did tell Mick that I saw the woman in the buttercup dress hanging upside down from her seatbelt in the forest at the back of her house. I told him I saw death crawl out of her. He said he'd give me a medal for lying. I wasn't lying. I'm a hunter for lost souls, and I'm going to be with my real family, and I'm not going to let Mick stop me. What in the heck? That sounds so creepy. Like, I presume this girl is seeing dead people, but I'm not sure who these people are who aren't her family, or if they are her family, but she's just like maybe some supernatural being inhabiting a girl's body or something. I don't know, but very, very intriguing. Like I said, I feel like I've heard some people talk about this, because like I say, it jumped out at me because I recognized the title, and so I grabbed it because I'm weak. Next is another one that I'd heard of, which is Leave Me by Gail Forman. I have read quite a lot of Gail Forman. This one I had heard of, and I don't think got great reviews, but I just grabbed it. Excuse me, I've got a low power. Sorry. But if I don't click the battery warning away, then I can't see myself on the screen. So this is a adult literary fiction. I believe it's about a woman who is struggling with her life. I think she's married and got kids, and one day I think she's driving and she just gets on the exit and leaves. And I think it's about her trying to find herself, and whether, I think it deals with themes of whether it's ever okay for a mother to put herself before her children. Like, once you've had children, is that a decision that you can make? Interesting. I say this didn't get great reviews, but I just thought I'd grab it because I have read Gail Forman and enjoyed her, so I grabbed it. And then the final book that I saw there, I was very excited to see, and that is Tin Man by Sarah Winman. So this is a book that a lot of the UK, like more literary fiction based booktubers have talked about a lot on their channels, and really have all really praised it. I believe it's about a man, a bisexual man. I think he falls in love with a boy when he's growing up, and then he ends up marrying a woman, but it's about those two relationships and how they define his lives. I think it's not super long. It's less than 200 pages, but this has just been really heavily praised on BookTube. And so when I saw it there, I was just like, oh wow, I've heard so much about this. I'm gonna grab it because it's $1. So I did. I grabbed it. And then finally, this isn't really like a book, but I thought I'd show it to you anyway. One of the ladies in my knitting group, I don't knit. If you watch the vlogs, you probably know, but I thought I should mention, I don't knit, but it's something I started going to with my sister, because my sister's a part of it. My sister is a big knitter. And I started going along just for the social aspect. We meet once a week. I originally was taking my cross stitch. I still take my cross stitch. I do a bit of cross stitch. I do it off and on. Sometimes I pick it up, sometimes I don't. I mainly go to eat and just be social because, you know, it is what it is. But one of the ladies there, because I recently got my second cat, Giles, I've obviously got a bit of a reputation for being a bit of a cat lady now, and so she gave me this little book that she had at home that she thought I would like as a little gift. And it's just this little Shakespeare for cats. It's just really cute. It's just got, like, look at this little picture. It's just got like little cute pictures of cats with Shakespeare quotes. Love sought is good, but given unsought better. But that picture was so cute. And you've got like, where's another, like, oh, look at this little guy. When I was at home, I was in a better place, but travelers must be content. It's just really cute. I say this isn't something that's going to go on my TBR shelf or anything. This will probably be something I just display. I might not even put it on my bookshelves in here because no one really comes into this room. I might put it like on my coffee table or something like that. I don't know. I just thought this was cute and fun, and it was really sweet of her to give this to me. So I thought I'd haul it for you guys. So that's it. Those are all of the books that I purchased, received, acquired in April. I say I went a little bit off script, so really I only got the 3. It's the 3 from the library sale that are the ones that are not technically allowed, but what can you do? Self-control, you guys. It's a tough thing to have. So yeah, I would love to chat with you guys in the comments down below if you've read any of the books that I hold, if you've got any thoughts about any of them, or any books that you guys have been acquiring. Have you found any great deals? How's your self-control been? I would love to know. Please like this video if you liked it. Please subscribe if you want to see more from my channel. That is all I have for this video today. Bye guys.